Hey folks, welcome back to the channel, your home for all content Lord of the Rings home. Today we have the kit reveal for Rekha. I'm going to get out a deep dive on the Rivendell that shows skill priorities and arena fighting and raids and stuff like that. I'm still working on it, but it is coming. I know it's late, but today we're going to talk about Rekha. I'll probably get that Rivendell video out either late tonight or tomorrow morning. Let's just get right into it. I really love her character design. I think this is really cool. With like the tears coming out of her eyes and the big gemstone in there. She's obviously Dol Guldur and works best with the Black Beast and Charu. That makes sense. It's a 3-man Colonel team for Dol Guldur. Her tags are Shadow Attacker, Dol Guldur, Human Bow. So she is basically the attacker for this little 3-man squad here. It says, in the wide lands of, Rovanian, between Mirkwood, somebody already told me how to pronounce this and I forgot. Between Mirkwood and the River Running, a fierce people now dwelt wholly under the shadow of Dol Guldur. Often they made raids through the forest until the Vale of Anduin, south of Gladden, was largely deserted. These Balkoth were constantly increased by others of like kind that came in from the east, whereas the people of Kalinardorn has dwindled. I remember this was already in there previously because I messed up on those two names, but she does not recall her original name or where she came from, but she knows this is where she belongs. So let's take a look at her basic. Let's look at the animation real quick. Okay, so she puts the arrow up to the gemstone in her forehead, and then she shoots the arrow with her bow. I mean, that looks... I like it when attack animations look like they have weight and impact, and this one does. I like the icon a lot too, actually, with the like moon crescent-shaped arrow. That's pretty cool. Ability description and unlock for her basic. Drain health from self equal to 20% of current health. Attack the target enemy for 90% damage and deal an additional damage equal to the amount of health drained. At max upgrade, still the same amount of health drain, 20% of current health, but now the damage is increased from 90% to 190%, so 100% increase in damage. And then yes, you still deal that additional damage equal to the amount of health drained. This is important to discuss right now because it applies to pretty much all of her kit. 20% of current health means that that's just the amount of HP she currently has. It's not max health. Okay, so if she is at 50% health, it's drawing 20% from her current health. So it'll be 20% of her 50% of health, right? Does that make sense? And in that way, it means that these abilities that we're going to go through can't kill her because it's always going to be 20% of her remaining HP. That is different than the Black Beast, which has, on the Black Beast turn, drain health from all shadow allies not in binding equal to 10% of their max health, which can kill his allies, right? And then either give him a feast stacks or, well, it'll always give him feast stacks or, sometimes send them into binding if they're Dol Guldur. It's different here. It's of current HP. Second, well, maybe third points here. It's basically taking the amount of HP that you end up draining from this 20% and converting that 1-to-1 into damage. So I'll give you an example. Let's say she has 100k HP. Just saying that because it's a nice round number. It's turn 1. She drains 20% of her current health. 20% of 100k is 20k. That 20k gets turned into 20k extra damage. It can still be mitigated, so it can still like hit block and get reduced or get reduced by armor, or I think probably also evaded as well. It cannot crit is the other thing. So it's just a little bit clarification on how this particular mechanic works because it's pretty integral to how the rest of her kit works. Special 1, Cursed Shot. She's putting it to her head again. I think that's probably her telegraphing every move she has is giving the arrow a little kiss and then sending it's on its way. I do like the stance change, though. And again, it just looks meaty. I like it. Okay, so ability cost is 3, and you start with 3, so it's a turn 1 ability. At unlock, drain health from self equal to 20% of current health. Attack the target enemy for 130% damage, and deal additional damage equal to the amount of health drained. Inflict daze for 1 turn. So same mechanic as her basic, and you're going to see that's the same with special 2 as well. 130% damage, daze for 1 turn. Daze is reducing the enemy focus by 50%. It has nothing to do with limiting turn meter gain or taking bonus turns or anything like that, like it is in Swigo. It is reducing focus by 50%, okay? At max upgrade, it's again, same drain health by 20%. That percentage never increases, but the damage increases from 130 to 270% damage. And then you inflict daze for 2 turns and weak-minded for 2 turns. And weak-minded is reducing resistance by 50%. This is pretty cool. I think weak-minded is actually a really great debuff. And this would be really good for something like the Cave Troll, which you need it on, right? Daze as well on the Cave Troll will be pretty cool because he applies daze, right, to your characters, and that makes it harder for you to apply debuffs on him. So you're going to be making it harder on, let's say, the Cave Troll for him to apply debuffs to your team, and making it easier for your team to apply debuffs to him, banes to him. 2 turns on both of these is also a pretty big deal, and it's a 3-turn. This seems pretty strong. 270% damage is nothing to sneeze at too, plus the additional health hit that she gives as well. To me, so far this team, and we were discussing this in my Discord, it seems like this team has kind of got glyphs in mind, designed around glyphs. So the first thing I saw when we had this drain health for stealth equal to 20%, and then we got the clarification on exactly how it works, is when glyphs come out, you just load her up with as much HP as you can, because that is directly going to affect her damage output across the board. Plus, it'll help Black Beast too, because he's going to be taking 10% of her max health, which is going to be a lot if she's got a lot of HP to just to be able to do more damage. Special ability 2, Hail of Darkness. Okay, so this is an AoE. Does she do the thing? Yeah. Okay, she does it every time. Also a turn 1 ability with a 3-turn cooldown. At unlock, drain health from self equal to 20% of current health. Attack all enemies for 80% damage and deal additional damage equal to the amount of health drained. So this is a turn 1 ability. I imagine this is the one you want to use first when you have the most health, because you're going to just be laying the hurt on. I guess you have the option, right? If there's somebody you really feel like you need to take out right away and inflict daze on because they might get out some massive banes right away, then this is probably the one you want to do. Maybe you can one-shot some people with this, right? If you've got a beefed up enough Rekha. But otherwise, you can just absolutely shred everybody with this ability. At max upgrade, it goes from 80% to 170% damage. So fairly simple kit with just this interesting mechanic involved in it. I'm a big fan of that. We're slowly progressing towards the paragraphs of text, but we haven't gotten there yet, and I like that they're keeping things relatively simple but interesting. Passive ability, Advancing Shadow. At unlock, on turn, 50% chance to gain Deadly for 1 turn. That's plus 30% crit chance right there. And ability description at max upgrade. On turn, gain Deadly for 1 turn. If this character has Deadly, also gain Might for 1 turn. If this character already has Might, also gain Haste for 1 turn. So I think a lot of people are confused about this. Basically what happens is on turn, she gives herself Deadly. That does not go away after her turn, after she uses an ability. Deadly is basically just giving yourself plus 30% crit chance is different than Advantage. So she will have it next turn. Next turn, it will check. Does she have Deadly? If she does, then she'll get Might. If she doesn't, then she'll get Deadly, right? So if you cannot dispel the boons from her, she's going to ramp up damage very fast, especially if you let her get to Haste. If she has Deadly, Might, and Haste, and you don't keep her in line, then she's going to unleash holy hell on your team. I think she's going to have a lot of damage output if that's the case. The Haste and the Might combination, and the Deadly combination is pretty crazy, right? Just a reminder again, the extra health damage that she does, it cannot crit. So she can crit on her main attack, and then you just get this extra bonus damage from her health steal sort of stuff. Key attributes, Rekha. Like much of her kin, launches straight into the heat of battle. However, she is empowered by dark magic, given her ability to drain the life from herself to empower her allies, as well as daze enemies to weaken their resistances to damage. One thing I want to say before we move on completely is that this, I think, is basically what is going to... You have to give players a little bit of an opportunity to get their focus off of Black Beast, right? Because you have to kill Black Beast first to make sure that the Dol Guldur allies also die, especially once they've gotten into binding. So, I think this is sort of a way to do that. You have to say, okay, you have to direct damage either towards Rekha, because she's going to either destroy your team, and you want to put her in a binding just to slow her down, or you need to basically dispel the boons on her to make sure she doesn't get out of control either. And that is taking focus away from Black Beast, which you need until he can kind of ramp up enough to survive as long as he needs to. Inspiration: though little is written about the Balkoth, they are one of the fierce Easterling tribes who serve Sauron under the shadow of Dol Guldur. The Balkoth often conducted raids through Mirkwood and surrounding areas, and their numbers grew as they were constant. Okay, we basically saw that already. Strategy tips. Rekha's ability, Advancing Shadow, allows her to get a series of increasingly powerful boons on subsequent turns. She will have Deadly Might and Haste all active at once if the enemy is unable to dispel them quickly. That's basically exactly what we just talked about. And then they said, I don't know why the text is so small here. The Weak-Minded, applied by Kershot, allows the Black Beast to easily inflict Weaken and Heal block on key enemy targets. So the Banes we're currently working with on this team from these two characters are, Weaken and Heal block. Weaken on Black Beast basic, Heal block on one of his specials. And then we have, she is applying Weak-Minded and Daze on her special one. So that's kind of what we're working with at the moment in terms of Banes for this team. I'm interested to see what Charu has as well. My guess is that she will either be some sort of support or healer character. Yeah, that would be my guess. When is she coming? November 15th. So basically after the Black Beast Marquee ends, Rekha event starts. My guess is that they'll also run Charu like 22nd to 29th, and that will basically close us out in November. So curious as to how they're going to do December, how long they're going to work into December, right? Because they probably won't work past this week here, this 11th, the 15th. My guess is that they'll take off some of this end of the 2 weeks at the end of the year here. So I'm expecting glyphs soon. I'm expecting that November update, that Journey Ahead post soon, and probably the announcement of the Legendary. If the Legendaries, it said the Legendary should be coming by the end of the year. Maybe there's a little bit of wording that we're misinterpreting here, but should definitely be announced by the end of the year. I would imagine it's coming at the end of the year, and same with glyphs. I would assume glyphs come first before the next Legendary, but maybe that's wrong. Okay, I'm excited. I'm actually excited. This is a cool kit. I like the concept. I like this Hellsteel concept. I like that it's different than Black Beast in a meaningful way, but it kind of works together. I don't know. Seems fun. We'll see how it plays out. I plan on getting Black Beast and the Dol Guldur. That's it from me. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.